Says I'm live, 37 seconds. Got all these freaking options here. And I can't change the orientation at all. Anyway. Got one person here. And of course you can't see anything because I don't have my light in my hand. I'm trying to, ta-da, that's me. Let's see if I can just flip this bag around. Yeah. I tried to do horizontal and of course couldn't. Let me switch hands here because I have my puppy. Hi. Hi, Rem Rem. Alright. Yeah, you can't see shit. Hold on a second more. There. I'm just gonna... This is the first live I've done in quite a while, and first actual walk I've even done in quite a while, so stick with me. I'm in the road, and you can see that's a leaner right there. You see that thing is leaned up against that tree, right into that little crotch up there. Yeah. Dog just walked around my feet. That's nice. Do. Okay, if you've watched any of the rest of my videos, the back in that direction, like right directly that way, is my house. And that is what I call the nursery, although I have found nothing new in there this year. There are still a lot of leaners right along through here. You can see that one. You can see those two. But this is back behind the nursery. And I haven't felt them at all this year or heard anything weird or anything like that. Hi, happy people. Robert Goff and Faceless and Brandy. Hi, everybody. Wow, 24 people. I haven't had 24 people ever. I think 6 was my highest I've ever had. And I'm just out walking my Remy. And I thought maybe I would turn my phone on for a little while. What you got? Huh? Gordon, how you doing? So what am I doing right now? I am walking down. This is called Kellogg Road. I live in Baldwinsville, New York. Not afraid to say where I live and all of that stuff. So if you want to come out here ever, looking for a squatch, this is all state land. I will get a little closer to the side of the road. And you can see, if you can zoom in, right there is a State Land Wildlife Management Area plaque. This is called Three Rivers Wildlife Management Area. It is not a park. So whatever's out here is completely feral. They very rarely make any sounds or come close enough to me to make a difference. They're not like the ones that Dee gets a hold of, where she sees the eyes and stuff. Those are state parks where that have trails and stuff. They're used to seeing people. Out here, they don't, but I know they're here. There's every single sign out here that they're here, but I never see them. Caleb, nah, there's nothing to be afraid of. Because I guarantee you there's nothing out here at nighttime that's not out here during the daytime. If you'd walk around in the day, then you walk around at night. It's only your own fear that makes it bad. When I first started, I used to carry a pew-pew and all of that stuff. But I no longer have any fear of it. Hi, Violet. You too? Nah, there's nothing to be afraid of. My associate here will hear or smell or see them long before I ever get a chance to. What you got? Anything? Watch your ears if you're watching on headphones. Ooh. Now I do happen to have my strongest pointer light that I have zoomed all the way out right at the moment so that you can see something. I do not have my 4K floodlight, so I could use this one as a zoom. So if I hear something, I will attempt to zoom it in. But as of yet, I haven't really had anything come that close to me. I've had some wolf howls on the other side of the swamp from me that was probably 150 yards away. That was answered in these big woods. You can see the yellow signs down there. There's some great big white pine trees out there. That's where I'm heading. I call those the no-no woods. Because it heard an owl. One hoot. And we have barred, B-A-R-R-E-D, barred owls here. And those are the ones that go woo 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 woo. But we got one that sounds like it's pissed off, and it only hoots once, and it just says ah. Whoop whoop whoop. Kyle. Kyle is what I have named all of the Bigfoot around here, because no one else is going to come out here yelling Kyle, just me. So they immediately know who it is. They don't have to be afraid of me. Although I've never walked my daughter's dog as I was out here looking for them before. Hi, Jim. Yeah, I consider this fun. I love it. Sooner or later, I'm going to get my eyes directly on one, or what I can't deny would be one. Because if I saw eyes as far apart as the ones that she sees, even though you can't see the body, there's nothing around here that would be like that. But I have yet to see eye shine. I have only heard them call back to me once, and when I tried to follow them, they messed with my brain, and I was still doing my video and ended up in the totally other end of the woods than where I expected to be when I finally came out of it. And it, just like Dee, it freaked me out. And I could not believe that that had happened. Hi, Ram. How you doing? Good? see what these are saying. Got 3 people here now. Yeah, I actually have 385 followers now. That's a lot. 24 people watching at once was insane. Only got 6 now and 6 likes. Thank you very much. Although I don't care about any of that because I do not monetize, and I will never monetize my stuff. I just went this weekend. This last Thursday I finalized on a house in Maine. I live in New York right now, but I finalized on a house in Maine, and this last weekend I went and spent 3 days there getting it ready for me to move. Just got to sell this house now. So and believe me, where I'm going in Maine, Jackman, Maine, they are going to be super feral. There's no, if they're up there, they've never seen a human. Deer aren't even afraid of people up there. That's how few people live there. 880 people in that town, and it's 72 miles to the nearest Walmart. Whoop! Now you can see that the trees are bigger here. When I get up to that other sign, this sign's the first one. When I get to that other sign, there's an S curve. And that's where the great big pine trees start, where the no-no woods are. I've showed in my other videos that the no-no woods used to have a giant tree structure, and they actually tore it down. So I don't know if the whole woods has changed hands, or maybe the oldest one stepped down and let a different one take charge. But in any case, the great big wood structure that they had all built up there, they tore it down and stacked them. Then I went out across the street way over there, not about a half a mile away, and found another giant wood structure that was not there before. So if those big wood structures are on the edge of their territory, sorry, I'm pointing you away. If those big wood structures are on the edge of their territory, then they changed territory or changed hands or some such thing. It didn't zoom you guys in, but from over there there's a parking space, and they took a bulldozer and made a trail that goes along the edge of the woods, and that trail goes for roughly a mile and a quarter, way the hell down there, and ends up at a man-made beaver pond. I can just let you see down the road. And I'll zoom it back out here so you can see what the hell I'm doing. I realize this is only a close-up shot here, but I wanted to turn the whole thing sideways like this, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I lock it in, the phone in horizontal mode, or no matter what I do, my lives will only do this orientation. They won't spin for some reason. And then, no, I do not do things that are fun. And if I did see something, heard a noise or saw a tree shake or something like that, that I would not jump like Dee does. It's much better to watch her. But I am not at all afraid to come out here at nighttime, so. I've had just enough noises and experiences where I can say I know they're here. I see the leaners and the bent trees, and every once in a while I'll catch a footprint. I know they're not here in the wintertime because there's never any footprints in the snow. And there's a lot of snow here in central New York. Whoop! Kyle! And the trees are just budding out really small leaves. You can see over here that the tag alders and stuff are just starting to get leaves on them. What you got, buddy? Huh? What you got, girl? Huh? That's my Rem. Yeah. Her name is Rem 70. If you catch that idea there. She's my favorite. It's my stepdaughter's dog. I see. I'm looking. I smell it too. There's a like a very pungent wet dog, like a wet dog that rolled around in a muck farm or something like that. But I have completely lost my fear of goofing around. Yeah, Dee is in Ohio. Central Ohio is where she normally roams around. The between Columbus and Cincinnati. I am in upstate New York, just north of Syracuse, in a town called Baldwinsville. And all this land that I'm walking through used to be a World War II ammunition factory. And as with every other ex-government land that turned into state or federal land, it's got activity on it. But around here, that activity is only in the summertime, from spring to early fall. I'm sure that they hoof it out of here after that, because there's nothing to eat, and the snow doesn't go away, so their tracks will stay here, and there's too many people around, so they book it. I do know that 2 years ago, or well, 3 years ago now, they did bring some babies, and the babies did little tiny foot-long sticks around almost every tree in the nursery. And that's how I figured it out. It's all of a sudden all these little sticks are leaned up against the bottoms of the trees, and they got slightly bigger and slightly bigger, and by the end of the summer they were like 10 feet long. So I believe, and that's why I call it a nursery, that they raised a baby back there. And I tried to all summer long to get them to do something, anything, and then finally I went whoop whoop, and they very lightly said whoop whoop, slower than I do it, back to me. And when I turned off the trail and started to walk through the woods towards the sound I heard, it's a plane. I thought I saw an eye shine there for a second, but it's a plane. When I went towards the sound I heard, all of a sudden I was doing this and doing that and talking about things that I had already talked about and seen a million times like I saw it the first time, and I ended up in the wrong end of the woods. And it freaked me out. Didn't keep me from coming back, but it freaked me out a little bit. I had to leave the woods and recoup myself. Yeah, Jim, I do believe that the government, these things must be intelligent, but the government allows them to use ex-government land to do their thing on, as long as they don't interact with humans. And believe me, these guys do not interact with me. I keep trying to get them to, but I know they're not here in the wintertime. So they either migrate or hibernate. And this is the S curve up here. You can see that their trees are way big here. And I'm about to go into the white pine forest, where it's real thick and heavy and dark. Get anything, Brett? Get anything yet there, Bram? Nothing? Bored? She's bored. Nothing to see, Dad. So today's about 68 degrees it was, and now it's probably 60 degrees. The first day it hasn't been raining in like 3 weeks. We've had a very wet spring here. It's supposed to rain later tonight, but for right now, I can see stars. I figured I would come out here. I only came out here for a little while, and then I decided, I'll turn the phone on and see what happens. Now they brush hogged, and last year they cut down all the trees that were within 20 feet of this road, because this is a seasonal use highway. But if you look back in there, you get these conspicuous structures. There's a couple on the side of the road that I'm standing on right now. There's a few. What you got, buddy? Huh? Anything? There are a lot of coyote here, rabbits and stuff for her to smell, so I'm not thinking that every time she slows me down that it's a Bigfoot or something. And there's another. Hello, Andrea. There's a easier to see right there. land wildlife management area sign. But you can see, you can walk right out in there. I would if I didn't have the dog. But you see, the very conspicuous leaner right there. Like, that's not on anything, that's just leaned against that tree in such a way to stay there. The first time a good wind comes, it's going to knock that down. But now you can start to see that this is a white pine forest in here. And I've walked down this road and only got one car giving me headlights so far, and nobody drove down through here, so you can see this is just a seasonal use road. Nobody lives on it. Years. Ooh, whoop, whoop, whoop. Kyle. Last spring, I actually got them to whistle back to me one night when I was coming home from work. I stopped and I got them to whistle to me. That was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. But they were very far away and obviously moving quickly because their 2 times they whistled were pretty far apart, distance wise. What you got? Anything? Nothing? Nothing yet? She's got a very expressive face. Rem, look it. She has a very expressive face, so if she gets nervous, you can actually see it on her face that she's nervous. But like I said, I think they moved out of this area. I moved over to where the bunkers are, where the bunkers used to be, where they stored the ammunition on the other side of the highway. It's called 60 Road. But I believe they're on the other side over there in the heavy woods up against a housing project called Radisson. I believe they're over there now. I used to call this the no-no woods because literally every time you walked out here, whether it was night or day, it felt like you weren't welcome here. Like, what do you do here, human? Go away. No longer feels like that. And right there, you see that tree with a light color, like 6 feet off the ground, and then the tree over is kind of brighter, and then there's a little tiny tree right next to that. I'm not seeing it on the phone, but directly in the middle of that sideways log near the ground, maybe if I hold it still enough, do you see that little tack that's in the tree that hunters put there? I hate those things. Every time you see it, it catches your breath and it's like, oh, eye shine. Nope. Nope, no eye shine. So I've never caught eye shine. I've only ever caught them stupid tacks. And you can see that sign up there. That's the end of the road up there. That's a stop sign. And the road where it says 60 Road. I'm not afraid to say where I'm at or anything like that, but anybody that lives anywhere close to central New York and wants to come out here and look around, this is where I find stuff. And there's a lot of wood structure. I mean, it's not so much that there's a dead tree fell right there. It's all those other trees leaned against it. Now they've been there for quite a while, but it's just limb after limb just leaned all in the same spot. That didn't fall like that. They're leaned in from every different direction. Woo, whoop! Kyle, are you out here? Can you make a noise? Whoop! I also don't think that they're not dumb enough to come walking right out here when a human male is here. They fear us a whole lot more than we fear them, I'll tell you that. They're not afraid of Dee, or they're becoming a lot less afraid of Dee where she normally goes. Dee being Dee's Dark Adventures, if you did not come from there. Aussie Alley, Kyle is what I call my local clan. Any one of them. Nobody else is going to come out here and yell for Kyle. That's just a way for me to let them know that it's me. I do it every time out here. When I go in the nursery, I ring a cowbell that I have on a tree out there, and I tell I just heard wood knocking together. Not a wood knock, but like something moved something wood out there. But anyway, Kyle is what I call them, and I say, Kyle, are you out there? And then I say Rover, because that's what I call my local dog man. Rover! It's right there. Rem. It's right there. See? Look. It's a dead snake. Come on. One time, about 4 years ago, I don't know if you can see the back of the sign that's between me and the shiny sign, but right up here next to that sign, I was walking with my wife about this time at night, and we heard footsteps, just very slow, crunch, crunch. I was like, man, if that is like a raccoon or a possum or something, that's freaky. And we made noise, stomped our feet. It didn't stop coming towards us, so we walked to the end down there where you see the bright shiny sign, and we waited about 10 minutes and came back. But right now you're starting to see on the left hand side that backward sign, but right beside that sign right there was a big giant pea spot in the middle of the road. So we figured that was Kyle marking his territory, trying to scare us away or whatever. But as you can see, it takes a lot to scare me. All I'm out here with is this flashlight and this phone. This time I have a dog, but I no longer carry my friends with me. Obviously, if they wanted to come and whack me with a limb, they would have by now. What you got? You smell something? You see her furrowed brow when she smells something. She's like, what is that? Yeah, right here by this sign here is where there was a big giant pea spot in the road when we came back. It didn't smell like anything, but it was obviously a pee spot of something much bigger than a dog or a human would make, unless you had been drinking beer all night or something. Freaked my wife out, and she refused to come back. She would only walk down to the beginning of the trees. She wouldn't walk out here anymore at night. I can't blame her. She's little. And she's not an outdoors person like I am. She wasn't in the military like I was. So I just keep talking, obviously. There's nothing else for you to do other than I'm swinging the phone around because I'm just pointing the phone wherever I point the flashlight. And of course, when I want to look over there and I want to look over there, for me, I'm just turning my head, and I don't see the moving around of this like you do. It's hard to get used to. Dee's doing much better than she did at first at not flinging the phone around or the light and moving slow and not making people dizzy, but I'm not good at it. I've always said that I'm a shitty cameraman. Whoop! And I can't whistle for shit either. And everybody always says, don't whistle in the woods. Why? Why not? Now, if you were in Alaska or someplace where there's been hundreds of missing people, where maybe you shouldn't whistle in the woods because there's grizzly bears, that type of thing. There's a lot of other things out there. What you got? I am not hearing what she's hearing. I did hear a stick break. What you got, baby? Where is it? Where is he? Where is he? Is he out there? Is he out there? Are you doing a good baby? Yeah. Yeah, every once in a while I get that shiver up your spine feeling like, ooh, something might be close. You're feeling the cold air, and on a 60-degree day or 70-degree day, all of a sudden you can see your breath. Which reminds me of when I used to do paranormal investigations, of just doing, EVPs and EMF work. I proved that to myself. I had things directly answer my questions. And then, of course, you got to ask yourself, what exactly answered me? Is it a dead person? Are ghosts dead people? Are they aliens we can't see? Is there some type of consciousness that acts like dead people? Are there beings that follow living people around and then act like them after they die? So I couldn't prove what I was talking to, so I stopped doing it. I went as far as I could of proving it to myself. Ghosts, as we think of ghosts, they do exist, but there's no proving what they are. It's impossible. What was that? Now I'm hearing little tiny wood knocks. That one was out in front of us to the left. Okay, come on. As you can see, I was just directed to not go that way. I will give her the reins for that. If she don't want to go there, I don't want to go there. But Dee has, people have asked before, after I was, a couple times I went out with Dee into the woods, and people say, well, what would Ralph do? Well, Ralph would walk right off the road, right into the woods, right through the poison ivy to try to figure out what made that sound. But I don't want to freak the dog out. And if she don't want to go up there, then she's much better at self-preservation than I am, because I would have went up there. I don't take hints very well. And I can hear, it's funny, right there. Right there, I could actually hear bare feet on the road. And there's nothing there. And that's another thing I've had to deal. Did you hear that? Another footstep. I've had to deal with that in my brain. If somehow Bigfoot can cloak and not be seen, mess with your phone, steal the battery from your light, that kind of thing. If they can do all that, then we're dealing with something beyond what you would think of as a Bigfoot, because I've always wanted them to be flesh and blood creatures that would have to hide behind a tree or whatever to make it so you can't see them. But if they can just walk directly behind you and not make any noise and not touch you, but just can follow you around like a ghost, now you're dealing with either technology or mental powers that are completely and utterly beyond us. And that's not what I want to think a Bigfoot is, but have had to readjust what I want to what is actually happening around me sometimes. Aussie, I have gotten fog before, and there's a problem with that here. I live on a road called Smoky Hollow Road, and there's a reason for that. There are so many cold water springs around here that if the air is warmer than the ground by more than like 5 or 6 degrees, the fog just rises up off the ground and slides across the road. It's like, it happens almost every night. That once the sun, right after the sun goes down and stops warming up the ground, these cold springs create steam because the air's so warm. And it gets thick where you can't see. So I can't really say that that's Dogman or Bigfoot or anything around here, because it's a natural phenomenon in the area where I live. I have no idea how much I started on my phone with percentage-wise. What you got, baby? You sniffing? Woo, whoop. Okay. I'm going to my light off, and in here you can see this is all white pine, except for up above me is, I don't know if you can see the stars. See the star right there? And there's white pine on that side, so it's pretty dark right here. I'll shut the light off and listen for a minute, and then I'm going to do my, what I call the Ohio yell, or everybody else calls the Ohio yell. I've never got a response to it. I've done it hundreds of times. I've never got a response to my loud Bigfoot yell, but sooner or later there'll be a first time, right? I can hear the peepers. Now, peepers are not tree frogs. Dee calls the peepers tree frogs. They are not. They're little tiny versions of bullfrogs that are really loud. They do not go up in the trees. Then the tree frogs come after the peepers stop peeping. Once they have all mated and everything, then the tree frogs start, and they have a different sound that sounds more like a frog cricket. And a lot of times when you hear them, it is up above you. Motorcycles on the big road, on 60 road down there. All right. Whoop! Kyle! My eyes are adjusting. I can see the dog and I can see the lines on the road. Once let those stupid motorcycles get a mile away so I can't hear them anymore. I only have Remy with my pinky, so if she takes off, I'll know right away. Okay. Here we go. Loud noise. I also put the whoop at the end of that so they know that it's not another Bigfoot and that it's me. I don't want the big bad to come booking through the forest looking for me because he thinks I'm another Bigfoot. That would be stupid. I just want them to know that I want them to do it back, but they won't. Kyle! And I don't know why I yell Kyle. They're either near me or they're not. They already know I'm out here, so they're either watching me or they're not. So I don't know why the hell I yell at. Stupid. Whoop! Anybody, any eye shine? Not on that side of the road. Not on that side of the road. Now the other weird thing that I have, and I don't want to blame it or anything on me, but I'm colorblind. which isn't a exactly perfect statement. I am shade blind. So if I see a light in the woods, it could be silver or it could be red. I would not be able to tell the difference unless it was a deep red. Like all the stars in the sky are the same color to me. There's no blue ones, there's no red ones. Everything. So anything that's pastel or anything that's close to the same color, and things like mixed colors like turquoise are just gray. Unless it's more blue or more green, and then it will look blue or green to me. It's like a gray blue or a gray green. But perfect turquoise where there's light blue and light green of exactly the same proportion just turns gray. My brain or my eyes or whatever it is will not let me see that color. But I do know what odd color gray turquoise is to me. But if I see eye shine in the woods, I will not be able to tell if they're red eye shine or silver eye shine. So my brain does not like clue in on colors. I've always used shapes. My brain uses shapes and picks things out like the leaning trees and things like that rather than looking for different color. So when you look out into the world and when I look out into the world, we are not at all seeing the same stuff. I don't live in the same world you do, is what I tell people. When I look out over Lake Ontario on a cloudy day, the water goes out and then it loops and the sky comes back. There is no horizon over the water on a cloudy day for me because I do not see. Oops, sorry, I kicked you. I do not see those colors and different shades when they're close together in shade. Everything is the same. So my brain lets me see and my eyes let me see the waves. If there's white caps out there, I have no problem. But on a windless day that's cloudy, gray, there is no horizon line over the water. Yeah, Aussie, it's not scary. Eye shine is eye shine. They're looking at you. If red eye shine means they're upset like Dee thinks, they've never thrown a log out at her or bluff charged enough to come almost into sight, breaking trees like an elephant running through the woods. They've never actually done that. They've made noise, snapped things, shook trees. But if that's all they're going to do and they're not going to come out, they're obviously not going to come out visibly, then that doesn't scare me. I could tell that they're, if they're upset and they're trying to scare me away, I would just say, okay, I won't come over there. You be you and I'll be me, and I'll walk away a little bit. But not only is Dee a female, but she's a mother. She's got somebody depending on her, and I'm not your average person, because once you're in the military and you go through some stuff, you don't have that fight or flight reaction anymore. You can just stand there when you're under stress, and as long as bullets aren't coming by your face, you don't duck, you don't do anything, you're just there. And I was military police, so I reined in all of my reactions, because when you carry a gun for a living, you can't just yank it out every time something big, loud noise scares you. You have to assess the situation, see whether you got shot at or whether it was a backfire from a car or what exactly. The first bullet didn't hit you, so you tend to just stand there and not move. It's like, okay, what just happened? We'll see if it happens again and where it came from and that kind of thing. So I don't normally have any kind of a reaction to loud noises. The things that go bump in the night, and I try to more assess, and I'm very curious about why would they make noise if they didn't want me to come out there, right? Very few times am I actually walking down the road like this. I'm actually out in the woods, walking through the woods with a flashlight and a phone in my hand trying to see one. So it's not like when I'm on the road they could just leave me alone because they know I'm just going to walk home from here. It's like, just leave him alone. He'll walk away. If we don't make any noise, he won't stop. So when they do make noise and I do go towards them, I don't get to like follow them to where they think it's safe and then get to meet them. It's not like that. I just never get to see them. What we got, buddy? Huh? What we got, Rem? Nothing? I would be super duper surprised to hear a wood knock or a callback or a whistle. It's the time of year where they come back because now there's like leeks and what we call swamp cabbage in the swamps. There's stuff for them to eat. I don't believe that they are purely carnivorous. Ooh, that was hard to say. Dogmen might be, but Bigfoot, I think, like most other large furry creatures, most of their diet comes from vegetables and fruits, berries, grasses, and they will supplement their diet with protein rather than mostly eat protein, and then if they're starving they'll pick a plant here or there. I don't think it's like that, because when they're around, if there's 3 or 4 or however many 400-pound creatures out here, if they strictly ate meat, they would strip all the deer out of here and all the rabbits within a couple of weeks or a month, and they would have to move on, and they wouldn't come back for a couple of years because there just wouldn't be enough for them to eat if that's all they ate. But I never see the deer population around here go down. I still see them in my back lawn. Same old thing. Same thing at Dogman Rock where Dee likes to go a lot. There are deer everywhere in there. And every once in a while she finds some bones, but if those Bigfoot and Dogmen were truly carnivorous, those deer would not exist, and they would have to move on because they would eat all of them. And there would be nothing for them. They'd have to wait a couple of years for them to come back in there and repopulate. Now I have red fox, a family of red fox. When I first moved in 2005, On my hedgerow is a bank, like a bank like that, goes down into the swamp, and there's a big hole in the side of the bank that probably initially a woodchuck dug out where an old tire is. And that first year, I realized that there was baby fox in the back lawn, so I went looking for the hole, and that's where it was. And those fox only come back every 2 years because it takes that long for the rabbits and the squirrels to repopulate, and they won't bring their babies back every single year because there's simply not enough for them to eat. So that's what I think would happen logically if there were big creatures in this woods that strictly ate meat. They would strip it, and they would have to wait 3 or 4 years probably for enough deer and things to move back in. Or start eating humans. Now, I want you, these things can't be stupid. And I want you to think about something for just 30 seconds after I say it. What happens when anything, we're going to say a shark, what happens when a shark bites a person on the beach? Giving you a few seconds. The humans get in boats and go kill every single shark they can until they think they found the one that bit the person, right? They'll kill hundreds of sharks because one person got bit. Same thing with a lion or a tiger. They kill every single one of them around until they think they got the man killer. Humans bunch together and kill anything that attacks them. Anything they're afraid of, they bunch together and kill it. So if you were a Bigfoot, would you attack a human? No, because 100 humans with guns will search the entire woods until they track your ass down and kill you and your family and everybody, every other Bigfoot around, or anything that even could possibly have done that. Every bear, everything around. And we don't have too many bears around. I've seen only one bear around here. And it was just a little black bear. What do you see, baby? Anything? Or are you just stopped because I did? Smelling? So now I've seen the things from Australia where a great white shark gets a hold of somebody on the beach, and they do go out there with fishing boats and catch a shit ton of them until they find a shark that has human body parts in its stomach. And they don't tell you how many sharks they've actually killed, but it would be hundreds. Now, I know in Australia that and they have crocodiles and things like that, and they wouldn't shoot the little crocodiles, they would shoot bigger ones, but if they know there's a man-eater out there, they'll shoot a bunch of them. Hi, Lydia. I know I'm swinging this around, but I'm kind of out in the open, so I'm trying to see eye shine from far away. All right. Something's going through the dead leaves on the other side of this wall of bushes. Kyle! I'm hearing running water, but there's no water in the bottom of that ditch. It must be underground. Or under that log. That's weird. Kyle! Whoop! I don't hear the movement anymore. Kyle! Whoop, 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 whoop. Now the other thing is, I have tried flashing balls, but not cat balls like Dee does, but she's given them. I thought that was going to be an owl, but something whooped instead of being an owl. Whoop! Anyway, now I lost train of thought. Gordon, like a rake type of idea? Or the thing that Dee has seen, which doesn't really fit being a rake. It does look more like a white humanoid or a gray alien. Come on, baby. Right there, Lydia. Now, just like I don't want to believe that Bigfoots can cloak, and I've had to rethink all of that they can cloak, and that however they do it, be it technology or mind control, they're far beyond us. And those white humanoids that we've seen crawling up on Dee a few times, I can 100% in my brain, I think those are aliens. They're not a natural thing to this world at all. Whoop! Nah, I don't know if you saw, Lydia, but I have